be another all-Asian showdown here between the Philippines and Malaysia. Seed 9 versus Seed 24. Malaysia back again with another strong year for them, hoping to make more upsets happen. They're known for those, you know. I'm Doomsday. I'm back on again. I'm casted this one, though, with the one and only, the ever-so-lovely Dio. Mate, good to see you.
Good to see you, Dooms. Happy to be here. And yeah, this is another all-Asian showdown between two teams with almost the exact same seeding as the last match as well. Number 9 versus number 24 here. But don't let that fool you. Malaysia, as you said, known for those upsets, known for being strong in the early stages, despite their seeding in some cases. And they've made some improvements to the roster this year that I think are going to help them out quite a lot. Lots of returning members like Lunasa, Chiyu, Rampax, but some new members like Wuhua and Zeph in particular, I think should be very, very solid for these early stages against the Philippines, who, compared to last year, have had a bit of a downgrade on the roster, but still are placing in the top 9 in qualifiers with players like Nathan Ram putting up massive performances in the qualifiers. And of course, a lot of very solid other players as well. Milkteism returning, Ramu returning this year, Icarus still back, Zone Louise for a lot of the mechanics and flow, Impouster back, just kind of round out the roster for whatever the others don't want to play. A very, very solid hard rock player as well. Xylaws for the speed, and of course Scene, another player like Zeph who benefited from the rank range change, just kind of filling in on some of the alt and precision maps so far.
Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, even without maybe some of those star players from previous, the Philippines' core is so strong, and they've got so much cover, especially on early rounds, and plenty of power later on as well if they can get there. So it's a very formidable team, and top 10, I mean, anywhere near top 8 in this tournament is incredible considering the level of play we've had. I say Nathan Ram is a threat, no matter when or where. He is so consistent, plays so many tourneys. But this Malaysian team is super interesting, man, coming into this. I mean, of course, you mentioned about Scene coming into it after the recent rank changes, but Malaysia arguably have benefited, the most of any team because they have a player known as Zeph, who is an infamous 5-digit tournament player who plays way above that rank range. He's playing OWC this time, and I'm curious to see what him and his team can do.
Yeah, absolutely. That said, a lot of other players taking the star power away from Zeph during the qualifiers. Lunasa playing almost everything, Wuhua playing almost everything in the qualifiers. So you're still going to look to players like Lunasa, Wuhua, Rampax as kind of the core 3 of this Malaysian team. But having that core 3 allows those other players to stay in their specialties and go in for what they truly thrive on, which can make a team like Malaysia very, very dangerous in the early rounds, right? If you have that core 3 together, putting up solid scores on every map, and you have your specialist who can come in to fill for the 4th slot or 3rd and 4th slots and put up very solid scores when needed, that's suddenly a really dangerous roster in round of 32, where honestly it's anyone's game with the lower difficulty of the map pool. A couple of early bans here. The Nomad 4 coming out for Philippines, banning out some of those flow aim maps in the pool. This one kind of a hybrid between alt and streams at a very low 170 BPM. And Malaysia banning out one of the hiddens, that hidden one. Definitely the less kind of accessible of the two hiddens. A lot of tech, finger control, aim control in that map. So adding hidden on top of that definitely makes it quite tricky. And into a first pick of the Nomad 2 for Malaysia, looking to flex Zeph right out of the gate.
Yep, speed right out of the gate here. 244 BPM, silver boxer, break core, burn your TV. Break your fingers on this one. Lots of short bursts all the way through this one. Not many long ones, but constant bursts into bursts, 3 notes, 5 notes, all over the shop. And immediately their speed roster is going to be able to get nice and warm in this lobby right now.
Well, they're going to have to come in warm on this one at 244 BPM. This one has quite a few longer bursts. For the most part, it is those shorter triples and quints throughout the map, but lots of consecutive patterns that can be very draining on the stamina. Kind of standard for an early round speed pick, right? Not a lot of very long streams at this BPM. Maybe at a lower BPM, you'll find some other speed maps in this pool with much longer streams like the DT2, but not at this high of a BPM quite yet. And already we have most of a full roster for the Philippines, about half the roster for Malaysia. Zone Louise, Milk Teas, and Nathan Ram in for the Philippines. And I have to think probably somebody like Xyloz or maybe Impouster later, maybe Ramu later, but gonna be Icarus actually to fill out as the fourth. And as for Malaysia, really looking at Zeph and No Head as the last two speed players to come in. It's actually going to be Brest and not Zeph, which I'm very surprised about. Zeph playing all the speed maps and qualifiers for Malaysia, so definitely a very different roster choice from what you would expect usually from this team.
Yeah, I don't think Brest played too many of the speed maps during qualifiers, but might just be a case of being more down for it this time. I suppose we'll see. There's so much experience though on both sides, but like Malaysia particularly, players like Rampax, who's been around the bush a long time. This is his 8th OWC now. Very seasoned player and has always been a key player for this Malaysia roster. But now they've made it to round of 32 and he gets another chance to show us all what he is made of. And here we go, Dio. Philippines versus Malaysia in the round of 32. I'm curious about this one.
Last match we saw Willie match the double S replay from Jackson off the round of 32 showcase. I'm wondering if we're going to see anybody get close to that here. A couple of act drops at the start, but nobody breaking, nothing to write home about so far. You're not expecting the breaks here in the intro. You're really expecting breaks once things start getting going, but No Head actually over-tapping on the burst there. A couple of those stacks, right? You put a gap in between the notes right on top of each other, and if you over-tap by a single note, suddenly you slide a break on the stack. So happened to No Head here at the start of the map. So a little bit of a combo lead for Philippines. Not too much to write home about, but is going to give them a score lead here at the start of the map. Not a huge one, but something to work with.
The accuracies across the board looking very good early on from all 8 players. No issues on the speed side of things. So yeah, will it come down to the bits of aim, those sliders, the aim consistency. Double break there for Malaysia is going to sting now. 2 FCs to 4 in favor of Philippines. Despite the accuracy, that combo is still going to matter a lot here.
And so far, Philippines looking untouchable, still on the 4-way full combo. And unfortunately for Malaysia, one of those breaks was on a player with incredible accuracy for them, Lunasa, up at 99.8 accuracy, finding that break. You'd prefer it to be on a lower rack member if you're going to find a break at all. Obviously, you don't want to find them, but if you're going to have somebody break, you want it to be a lower rack member because those high ACK FCs can really make or break a team score. Rampax right now, along with Brest, holding down the fort for Malaysia, but unfortunately, the doors are open. The gates have been busted down by Philippines here. 500,000 score lead, 3/4 of the way into the map, and the fort's being stormed right now, Dooms. Not much holding down to do anymore.
No, I mean, at this point, you can just stick a bit of cardboard up there, and it ain't going nowhere because Philippines are destroying this map. There is no other word for it. 99% across the board, 4 FCs, a bit more to go before they lock out one of the top scores of the tournament, if they can hold this. Or of this round, I should say. No, they don't. Accuracy drops on the long stack, but that's still 3.8 million, signed, sealed, and delivered, and that is a breakpoint and a half here for the Philippines.
Yeah, and that is a ridiculous scoreline. By the way, Icarus with a higher score than Brest, who actually FC'd, so may as well be the 4-way. Unfortunate break right at the end for Icarus, but 3.8 million team score on a no-mod pick like that is equivalent to, 4.6 million or so on a DT map. So just keep that in mind when you're comparing team scores throughout the weekend, right? That's with 0 mod multiplier whatsoever. That 3.8 million team score. So nigh untouchable performance from the Philippines on that map, almost the 4-way. And very, very good start to the match for them. Unfortunately for Malaysia, not what they wanted to see. That was Malaysia's first pick, and Philippines just showing up and saying, no, you don't. Speed is our domain in this match. And I wouldn't be too surprised, Dooms, if we see them go right into the DT pool after that.
Yep, wouldn't surprise me either. Milk Teaism Yeah, that SS, crazy. It's actually nuts that you've seen like 2 SSs on that already in 2 maps, by the way. Like, come on, dude. So yeah, 3 picks in the DT pool. Do they want one, or do they want to throw us off? Let's see, because Philippines have strengths across the board outside of that tapping, but that is all there for them when and if they choose to. I wouldn't mind seeing some hard rock out of this team. Philippines have some very scary hard rock players. And there's some very cool maps in that hard rock pool, actually. I'd love to see Bug Thief come out a few times this weekend. I'm sure it will.
I'm sure
but they're not going to go.
That map seems to be a favorite among players. It's definitely a favorite among the playtesting team as well. A lot of people citing that as their favorite map of the weekend, but not going to be the case here. It's going to be the Free Mod 3 instead for the first pick for Philippines, and honestly, I can see it as a pick for Philippines. Malaysia, I think, maybe might pick into that Hard Rock too. Did have some very solid scores on that slot in the qualifiers. Now it is a very different sort of map, but still a decision pick at the very least. As for the free mod, lots of very good low aim players on the Philippines, lots of very good scores for them on the Nomad 2 out of qualifiers, which is kind of the point of comparison here, if I'm being honest, with this sort of a map. Nomad 2 in qualifiers was 190 BPM, but very similar style of kind of gimmicky flow aim in this pick, with lots of high spacing cuts all over the place in this map. It is a lower circle size, which means bigger circles, and a lower approach rate, which means higher density. So your hidden players are going to have to deal with that very high object density on a map like this, with lots of 1-4 stream, quote-unquote stream patterns. It is 155 BPM. And your hard rock players are going to have a little easier time just because of that lower circle size, but I think AR 9.2 for something like this, relatively balanced with that circle size, so should see a pretty even mod distribution, and definitely no mod still easiest, but you might see a couple comfort hard rocks here and there for players who really prefer AR 10.
Some of these good streams can be quite spicy on the hidden only, though, to be honest. But both teams should have a hidden player to cover those bases. Woohoo coming in, I think, will be taking the hidden possibly, unless they want to put him on like a comfort no mod. But Woohoo should be a very solid spot if they choose to pop the yellow mod on him. Philippines have a few players that could be throwing hidden on the... Who fancies it, really? Cool to see Scene pop in for this one. His debut in OWC for the Philippines. Let's see what he's got. Well, that's a lot of hidden, actually, from Team Malaysia. That's 2 hiddens. A Hot Dog and Woohoo are both taking the hidden. But it's a double hard rock on the side of the Philippines with Xylos and Nathan Ram taking that hard rock, which with the circle size may just be down for the reading comfort, because as you mentioned, that CS does help out a lot with the comfort for players. You can just chuck that AR-10 on and be okay with it.
Yeah, so overmod from both teams here, and you mentioned Scene. We also see a couple of other new members for Malaysia, like Breaston once again. You want to put in those new members on these early round matches, right? Especially for a team like Philippines, where your goal is to go far in the bracket. You want to give them as much experience as possible early on, so that they can get over the OWC nerves. It's an entirely different beast from other tournaments. Even if you're a very seasoned tournament player, playing in OWC just hits different. So giving them that opportunity early on here, I think the right move for a lot of teams. Unfortunately for Philippines, a couple of breaks early on here. Ramu, Nathan Ram both finding the drop. One drop from Breast, one from a Hot Dog very early on for Malaysia, but ahead in the combo game so far. And so score lead in their favor here. 2 full combos to 2 for both teams. Another break from Ramu and a Hot Dog that is going to favor Philippines just a little bit. Again, supporting combo overall higher for Malaysia than for Philippines. Another drop from Ramu on the hidden. And it seems like, Dooms, you're right about this hidden being a particularly difficult mod on this map. Xylos, though, on the Hard Rock now also breaking. That's one of the FCs down for Philippines, and Malaysia here taking the score lead and running with it. 2 FCs still intact, one on the Hard Rock, one on the hidden, and a solid supporting combo from Breast on that Nomad.
Oh, right after the break though, Woohoo drops his hidden. So it is still slightly with Malaysia, but not by much at all. It's well poised. Actually, it is slowly going over to the Philippines, I think. But it is on a knife edge as we get to the halfway point here. quite a few players finding some trickiness on the consistency here. We'll see if those players can recover it once we get into the second half. More or less more of the same. Let's see.
Not too much to speak of right now. The combos all staying intact for everyone, but that just means when they do drop, it's going to be bigger than ever. Xyla's now dropping one of the FCs for Philippines on the Hard Rock Breast, trading it out with that big supporting Nomad combo, but still combo advantage here for Malaysia. They still have an FC, and now Scenes is gone actually on the Nomad for Philippines, so big combo advantage for Malaysia on this pick. And Dooms, it looks for now like they'll be trading these first picks back and forth, but still too early to call, as Nathan Ram and Ramu still have some big combo, and Malaysia, their lead is not huge yet. It's only 130,000 or so into the next Ki time, and every little bit matters here in this bridge section. Woohoo are going to drop the hidden once again, so it's Lunasa and a Hot Dog versus Nathan Ram and Ramu. Lunasa holding the only full combo left in the entire lobby on that Hard Rock. Maybe that can be the deciding factor as the lead for Malaysia continues to grow with these higher modded combos.
Yeah, it's the mods doing God's work here. Just a bit for Malaysia here. Nathan Ramu going to try and make something happen. Two experienced heads on the side of the Philippines. It's out of their hands though. Final drop here. And they saw it the break. Lunasa breaks. Nathan Ram also breaks. It's going to be with Philippines slightly, I think. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's still going with the way of Malaysia there. Even with Lunasa dropping. And it's the hidden doing work here for Malaysia. A Hot Dog really coming into his own here.
And this is the danger of early round picks, Dooms. The danger of round of 32 is that some of these trickier maps, if your opponent is solid on the skill set, it can completely backfire. We've seen it with both first picks now. 200,000 score lead here for Malaysia. The team's just picking for each other at the start of the match, it seems, as a Hot Dog pulling off over 700k on the hidden here. 1,300 combo going into the ending. Ramu as well with a very, very good score on the hidden, but it's just overall slightly better on the support for Malaysia. Lunasa also up near that 700k, Nathan Ram just below, and then you have Breast and Wuhua both above that 500k mark for Malaysia. Breast almost at 600k on the Nomad, whereas Seen and Xyla's both down in the 400k range. So you focus on the top scores, and a Hot Dog and Lunasa matching Ramu and Nathan Ram, definitely massive there for Malaysia, but the supporting scores, the bottom two on each team deciding this pick, and you'll see a lot of that in the early stages where it's the third and fourth member that matter the most, because you expect a lot of very high scores in the early stages of the US World Cup.
Yeah, it's all about the team performance. It's all about the team performance. I think on that one, though, a lot of it came down to just accuracy and more consistency from Malaysia. Their miscounts and accuracies were definitely a level above on that run, in particular from Philippines. So looking real good on that style there. Just a bit more really giving them that 200k they needed. So hey, you love to see it, but maybe not the pick you'd expect it to be 1-1 on. That means Malaysia have the opportunity to make something work. They might want to think twice about going straight into speed if I were them, looking at what Philippines did to them on that Nomad 2 burn your TV. But I wonder if they're going to stick to their guns or not. That control worked out pretty well for them.
But we've seen so far that, you know, sometimes it's just a one-off, and sometimes you just have to stick to what you thought you would be good at the start, and eventually you come into the own. And other times, it's better to just pivot mid-match. So I feel like this map, if any, is going to give us a clear idea of whether these teams should pivot or not. And you have to be brave as Malaysia, right? You have the first pick. You have to be confident. You have to be brave. And you have to either make the decision, right? Stick to your guns or pivot on this map. Because if you stick to your guns with this DT2 and Philippines wins, well, now suddenly you just open up the DT1, the DT3 to Philippines. But if you win on this map, you close that door and you carve a path for yourself through the rest of the match. So Malaysia here with that first pick, they have to be brave when neither team's first pick worked out for them.
If you look at the accuracies and the the stats on that No Mod 2 pick, Malaysia, I mean, they had 399s, 3 high 99s. They only had the one actual miss from Lunasa outside of Slider Break, so they were comfortable on that. It could have just been a case of, it didn't work out today, mate. That's what it was all about. So I think they have every right to stick to this speed because they have been very good on it. Maybe this time it'll work out, but it's going to sting if they drop another one. The Philippines are super consistent on speed and always have been.
See whether it stings or not. Much to I think expectation for Malaysia. Zeph coming in here for this DT2. I was surprised not to see Zeph on the Nomad 2, but absolutely a player who should be in for something like this. There's almost no aim component to this map. It is almost entirely these 228 BPM death streams, basically. Lots of long 33-note streams, and at this BPM this early on, that is quite a long stream. That is quite stamina intensive. So this really is going to filter out the players who can and the players who can't from the pool. So if you are Malaysia, you just have to be comfortable with this sort of BPM, and for Philippines, you just have to be the same, be comfortable, and I think both teams just preying on maybe one member to falter in the stamina somewhere on this map.
You know what? This is actually very curious. Both teams have swapped out quite a few players compared to that No Mod 2. Philippines bringing in Xylos for this one instead of Ikarusi, and then Malaysia is actually swapping out 2 players. I think Zeph and Wuhua. Zeph makes sense. Wuhua, he's going to be solid on this, but big swaps considering how similar the maps are.
Yeah, definitely some big swaps, so it's a little bit interesting as well. By the way, Rampax and Breast actually top scored the Nomad 2 for Malaysia, so their 2 top scorers being swapped out I think is more curious than anything. But that said, the swaps make sense, right? Zeph and Wuhua should be solid on this sort of a pick. And early days, everybody's still holding the full combos. Bit of an accolade for Philippines, but nothing to write home about as we get further and further into the map. More of those longer streams, the stamina finally biting Lunasa there, the first to drop on either team. A couple 92 for No Head, 97 for Zeph, 99.7 for Wuhua, but far more similar accuracy on the Philippines to Wuhua than to the other members on Malaysia. There goes Xylos and No Head, but No Head really dropping a lot of stamina on some of these longer streams. Xylos just with a miss right near the end, still on that 99 almost accuracy.
No issues on the long streams here for any of the players in the Philippines. No major drops. Unfortunate on Xylos to drop the FC, but they are looking comfy as a 4. Malaysia definitely having to combo game a little bit more on a couple of their players. On a map like this, early round speed, the margin for error can be very small. And there goes Wuha as well. It's only Zeph left with the FC on Team Malaysia against 3 FCs. It's looking grim.
Looking grim indeed. Unfortunately, Lunasa really struggling during that one part. I think either lost the grip or lost tapping stamina, just had to stop playing for a second. Maybe some tech difficulties as well, but unfortunately way too far into the map to call an abort. So it's just going to drag on the score for Malaysia. And once again, No Head finding a break here. At this point, it's a broken record. It's Zeph versus the world, and well, those stories about Atlas don't end very well for Atlas most of the time here. Zone Louise, Milkteism, and Nathan Ram all still holding the FC and all at the same or higher accuracy than Zeph, as Philippines now out to about an 800,000 score lead. And Dooms, we were talking about this before the map started. Malaysia had to be brave. They had to either pivot or stick to their guns. They chose to stick to their guns, and I don't know with this kind of a team performance if I agree with that decision, as Philippines now knows they are the team favored on speed in this match.
Yeah, I guess the longer streams may not be suiting them at the moment. Like I said, it's a little bit on those longer streams, really splitting them up because none of the players on Philippines are having those issues. Although, okay, there's a couple there, but apart from that, they've looked pretty solid on this this stream pick. Yeah, massive win here for the Philippines. It's another breakpoint. Another speed pick goes the way here of the Philippines, it looks like. But that's a nice score there from Zeph. A very nice full combo there to wrap it up for his team. Not going to be enough though.
Yeah, the inclusion of Zeph and Wuhua turning out to be the correct decision here for Malaysia. Unfortunately, just not nearly enough. 1 FC for Zeph on the side of Malaysia, and 3 on the side of Philippines. Zone Luis, Milkteism, and Nathan Ram all pulling out the full combos. 99 AC as well for Zone Luis and Milkteism. And while Wuhua had very good accuracy, did find a miss about halfway through the map or so, and that's just not going to cut it, unfortunately, against this Philippines roster. Even if both Wuhua and Zeph had FC'd, it still wouldn't have been enough with that third FC coming through from Nathan Ram. And the 660k supporting score from Xyloz there, over 1,000 combo and 97, almost 98 accuracy. Just, again, a team difference, right? It's the top scores are the same, but the bottom 2, the bottom 3 are vastly different in favor of the Philippines, and it's that overall team performance that matters most in the early stages here. So Malaysia, unfortunately, not able to put up that solid overall team performance. It's not a bad team score, to be sure. It's just that Philippines had 3 full combos on their side. There's not much you can do besides match those FCs if you want to win that day.
Yeah, just have to lick your wounds and go next, I think, on that one. Curious to see what Malaysia choose to go with, though, when the pick rolls around for them. At the moment, Philippines have an opportunity to consolidate, see if they can make good use of this one. Still 2 DT picks if they want to go down that way. They did pick the control-based free mod last time. They could stick with that if they like. Plenty of mechanics on the board, plenty of aim on the board if they want to go down that route. But still like to see some hard rock. Let's see, they've got a few decent routes to take here. They could always save the speed if they feel confident on it too.
I think there's room to pick into different stuff as well as Philippines, right? You're up a breakpoint. You know your opponent is almost certainly not going to pick into the speed anymore. So it's there as a reserve if you want to go into it. But at the same time, DT1, DT3 are vastly different maps from the Nomad 2 and the DT2, right? DT1's mostly aim. There are some 9-7 note bursts in the map, but far more aim focused than speed focused. And the same goes for the DT3. A lot more finger control there with spam doubles everywhere, but still a very different sort of map from the 2 speed picks we've seen so far. Chotomate from Milkteism asking for the timeout there, and that timeout being used by the referee. So going to be taking a bit to decide what route they want to take here for the Philippines, it seems. As you said, Dooms, a lot of different ways that they can take this match. And with the free mod 3 having gone the way of Malaysia, I feel like you probably stay away from the alt aim control tech side of things and maybe pick more into the aim consistency side of things instead, right? Avoid maps like the Nomad 3, avoid maps like the Hard Rock 2, avoid maps like the Free Mod 3, pick instead into the Nomad 1 if you're picking Nomad, the Hard Rock 1 if you're picking Hard Rock, the Free Mod 1, the DT 1, etc. Or maybe the Hidden 2 if you just feel really comfortable with that low AR, but it is going to be the Hard Rock 1 here for Philippines.
I think it's in terms of, I guess, just standard sort of aim, this is probably the closest you can get to it, right? That Nomad 1, that Shikanoko 1 it is raw aim, but it's got, like, I don't know, it's got other elements to it. It has that tech element in the middle and whatnot. This one's pretty straightforward if you don't mind the hard rock stylings. All mechanics all the time. And I think it may be the highest SR in the pool, question mark? Or one of them, certainly. So it's pure mechanics, this.
Yeah, this is one of those maps that has its star rating very heavily boosted by the speed and bursts in the map. 215 BPM bursts pretty much all throughout. Spam triples in this map all over the place. And some longer streams up to about 17 notes, I think, is the max. Maybe a little longer. There might be like 2 25-note streams or something like that. So this is very heavily boosted by those slightly higher BPM streams in the song. But the aim component to this is pretty in line with the rest of the pool, more around 6.6, 6.7 stars or so. And the bursts aren't that hard. If you're comfortable at a higher BPM, the bursts on this are not all that difficult. And we've seen Philippines be really, really comfortable on both of the speed maps so far. So I think something like this that mixes those mechanics is a very good pick for their team, especially if they want to stay away from and avoid the aim control alt tech aspects in the pool, which this is something that has none of that whatsoever. As you said, very, very straightforward, very generic in terms of the types of patterns that are used. There is a lot of pattern aim, right? It's not just completely straightforward 1-2 jumps, but it is something that is very, very straightforward as far as tournament map pools go.
Not too surprised to see Zone Louise coming in for this one. Does like their hard rock there. Imposter making an appearance as well for the Philippines here for this aim heavy map outside of Malaysia. Their mainstays are in Lunasa, No Head, Rampax, and Wuhua, who have played a lot of this match already. As therefore, do you have to be dead set and comfy when coming into something like this? So can they make good use of this? They have some good scores on the hard rock picks in the qualifiers, so they are not going to be bowing out on this one, I don't think.
See if they can make good on those hard rock scores from the qualifiers, continue to do well on the hard rock here in round of 32. Already starting to see some of those bursts and streams come into play, a little bit more of the flow aim on some of those patterns as well. Right now, everyone holding the full combo. Rampax actually dropping as I say that, but the accuracy doing quite a lot of work for Philippines even before then. Nathan Ram is going to find the next drop here. Usually expect Nathan Ram to be the star performer for this Philippines team, was in the qualifiers as well. Zone Release now also finding the drop. It's another break from Rampax, but 3 full combos to 2 now in favor of Malaysia. So despite the accuracy difference in favor of the Philippines, it is going to start to go slowly back the way of Malaysia here. Still early days, so the combo's not mattering a ton, but this is a relatively short pick, only 2.5 minutes long, so these breaks are going to start to be more and more impactful, and another one comes through for Zone Louise into the small aim control section here with these linear kind of snappy jumps all over the place, as Malaysia continuing now to build the score lead on their side. Can they make it through these streams and bring it into the next section? Yeah, all of them holding the combo. Dooms, it's starting to look like the teams are just picking for one another, and Malaysia on the hard rock, you called it, very good scores on the qualifier, looking to capitalize.
Yeah, looking rock solid now, dropping some AK early on, but none really in the last few bits. Big chain miss on the stream from Imposter, and that is huge at the break as well. Malaysia,
but Lunasa broke as well.
Oh yeah, okay, well, okay. Well, that does sting, but they are still in a good spot. Still 2 FCs. No Head and Wuhua. With Rampax as well recovering. They got room to maneuver here, but I guess they do have to keep their nerves still with big combos on the recoveries from Philippines.
They're going to have to keep their nerve. There's still a good bit of the map left. There's still a lot of combo baked into this ending. This map is relentless when it is going. You do have that break in the middle, but aside from that, that's the only bit of calm you get during the storm. As now into the small jump section, Wuhua actually breaking on the aim control, but is it going to be enough? Xylaws broke right before, so I don't think it is. And Malaysia, I think they've done it once again. 360k and climbing in their favor. They're going to take yet another break point. And this is a match, Dooms, we talked about it yesterday, but this is a match that we were thinking was going to be relatively close, especially early on. Malaysia showing that they can hang with the best of them. 2-2 right now after 4 maps in for Malaysia, the lower seeded team in this match. And it's looking like a good one once again here to start things off.
Sharing is caring, Dio. And at the moment, these two are sharing their picks. But Malaysia, you know, they're taking strong picks here off the Philippines. They've won on a control-free mod, and they've won on mechanics hard rock, which opens the door to some of those other picks for them. Things like the No Mod 1. DT could still be a threat if they can challenge the Philippines, even though they haven't looked very good on them so far. Control ain't out of the realm of possibility. There's still a lot of big question marks over who picks what and how they go, because we've seen a lot of different skill sets and they have gone all over the place. So this is a This is a crazy match so far. What happens now?
That's a great question, because I also don't know. Are we just going to see breakpoints all over the place throughout the entire match? Who knows? Surely at some point they win their own pick, right? Surely. But for now, it's looking like the breakpoints throughout for both of these teams. And if you are Malaysia, right, you've won on the Free Mod 3 and you've won on the Hard Rock 1. So maybe you pick aim and maybe you pick aim control, because it feels like a lot of the pool then is doable for you, right? You have No Mod 1, No Mod 3, Hard Rock 2, DT 1, Free Mod 1, Free Mod 2, all specking into that in one way or another. So honestly, if I'm either of these teams right now with the state of this match so far, I want to be Malaysia, because I've seen what I've won on, and I'm like, hey, we've won on aim when we won on aim control. That's like the entire rest of the pool. Let's just pick whatever we feel best on. And apparently it's the Hard Rock 2, just keeping it in the Hard Rock pool. And Dooms, we talked about this a little earlier, but Malaysia with some very good scores on the Hard Rock precision maps and qualifiers, actually beating out Philippines in the Hard Rock 2 in qualifiers. Now, this is a very different sort of map. Hard Rock 2 in qualifiers was a little bit more stream focused, a little bit more mechanics focused, did still have some finger control, some aim control in there, but this is just a straight up tech map. So a very, very different sort of map in terms of how it plays, but we'll see whether Malaysia can keep the Hard Rock train rolling, right? They've won on the Hard Rock 1. They had solid scores on Hard Rock in the qualifiers. Can they continue to do so despite the change in mapping style here on the Hard Rock 2 is really the question.
It's the big question, because, you know, comfy styling precision is one thing, but, you know, dealing with the precision on something a bit more left field like this can be tricky for players that are otherwise comfortable on the former style. So, but I think with the hard up players Malaysia have, I reckon they'll be all right on this. I still kind of think that Philippines would lap this map up. I think the last hard up pick, their scores were very, very close, just a case of combo not being there really here and there. So it's still a proper toss up. If Philippines are more comfy on that tech styling though, this could be could keep the breakpoint train going maybe. But it's all down to, can Malaysia deal with the techier style and that precision? I reckon they'll be okay. Let's see though.
A couple other things to mention about this map. This is one of the more difficult maps in the pool. Typically, you'd say that favors the higher seeded team, but with how this has played out so far, you really can't be sure. This has a couple of really tricky streams as well, and it is 187 BPM. It's not super high BPM. It's not stamina intensive, but if you are a player that really struggles with that tapping aspect, that might be enough, combined with the aim control on CS 6.5 on those streams, to make you break a couple of times on some of those streams. So even if you're good at the slider tech reading, some of those streams can be a little tricky as well. That said, the main difficulty on this map, as you'll see very soon, is definitely the slider tech and reading. We already had a couple of people misread that first slider there. Lunasa actually breaking on that first circular slider, going the wrong way on that one, unfortunately. Turn on snaking sliders, kids. They are your friend on tech maps.
I disagree, but each to their own.
On sliders like that. How about on those types of sliders?
Okay, yeah. On those sort of sliders, I think there's a use case. There's a use case. I'm a bit surprised No Head's not in for this, but I guess he's not really a precision player after FCing that last one. I suppose it's a very different sort of map, right? Of course, see Chiyu come in for this one, no, on the side of Malaysia. Another one of their old heads coming in.
Yeah, Chiyu's been around for a very long time at this point. Somebody who was very, very well known in rank restricted tournaments a while back. A little less active these days, but still a very solid player. Unfortunately, Lunasa finding another break here for Malaysia. It is matched by an earlier break for Impouster, but overall combo in favor of the Philippines right now. 3 full combos to 3 though, so still very even early on in this map. We're getting into some of those streams though. Zone Louise finding a break on the sliders right afterwards, and so combo now back the way of Malaysia. Chiyu, Wuhua, Rampax on the full combo versus Scene and Nathan Ram with Impouster not too far behind, but supporting combo from Lunasa still holding strong now after the early breaks. And the accuracy for both of these teams about the same, so it really is just going to come down to the combo and how well these teams can hold. halfway through the map now, and it's only a 50k score lead for Malaysia, still on a knife's edge here into more of the streams. Rampax and Pauster seen all dropping there on the streams and the sliders right afterwards, and that is just more benefits for Malaysia. Chiyu, though, finds the break right afterwards. Rampax drops once again. It's Wuhua and Lunasa versus Nathan Ram and Zone Louise. The combo still in the favor of Malaysia, but Wuhua goes down as well, and now the combo back the way of Philippines with the only FC on Nathan Ram left standing in the lobby. Nathan Ram, this is the guy who carried them in qualifiers. This is one of the top 5 performers from qualifiers overall, showing up and putting on the carry pants for Philippines on this Hard Rock 2.
Yeah, and the 98% as well. Highest combo and highest AC. Kind of destroying this map right now. Lunasa gets the break, and that has got to be all she wrote, especially with Zone Louise as well, recovering very nicely with nearly 700 combo. From the brink, but over the line, just about. Nathan Ram, take a bow.
Take a bow, sir. Finally, we've seen the Nathan Ram that I feel like we should have seen throughout this match. He's been a little quiet so far, right? Has put up some good scores. Full combo, the No Mod 2, has been in on basically every map, but it just hasn't been quite enough to make the difference on some of them. And a lot of the maps where we did see him pull out the FC were on maps where his team was already doing very, very well, even without him full comboing. So to see him put up this kind of a carry performance really, I think, shows the consistency with which these high performers for each team that we talk about, the carry players for each team that we talk about, can pull off scores in the OS World Cup, as without that FC, it's pretty tough for Philippines to win that pick. You look at the rest of the scores, 3 members above 630k for Malaysia and Rampax at 570k. So Rampax alone higher than both Scene and Impouster on that map for Philippines. But unfortunately, it's not the overall team consistency that makes the difference that time around. It is the carry player, and Nathan Ram puts the team on his back. And now we, once again, by the way, Dooms, see another breakpoint. Neither of these teams has won a pick yet throughout this entire match. It's been 5 straight breakpoints in this match. So we'll see if Malaysia can keep the trend going here as Philippines up with the next pick.
Yeah, I mean, why not at this point? Why not? Has there been a match where it's just been nothing but breakpoints till the end? Is that actually being a thing? I have no idea. Because the way this has been going, like, there's no guarantee that train's going to stop. That said, though, there's still 2 solid double-time picks left for Philippines if they want to get stuck into that speed, which they have been so good on both times, but they aren't going to go there. They are going to go into some low approach rate hidden with the Accept Bloody Fate, the hidden 2. Oh. How about this one?
Bit of an interesting pick. I do think they have a little advantage on hidden, but I think a lot of this is just going to come down to how comfortable the teams are on this sort of AR8 awkward aim. There is a little bit of tricky patterns in this map as well. Some patterns that start off very highly spaced with some awkward jumps and then go straight into anti-aim at the end of the pattern, for example. And those sorts of patterns can come right after a break in the map as well. It's kind of evil with how some of these patterns are mapped. That said, Philippines was the winner in qualifiers, comparing their hidden 2 scores in the qualifiers. And this was really the only slot that stayed the same from qualifiers into the bracket stage. Qualifiers hidden 2 was AR 7.5 rather than AR 8. And I think looking at the overall scores for Malaysia, this pick does make some sense. Wuhua really was the only player on Malaysia who looked really comfortable on this hidden 2. Everybody else was, 250k, 300k, 400k maybe. Whereas for Philippines, it was a lot of 300k, maybe the bottom score, but you have 400, 500, 700k for the rest of the team. So overall team comfort for Philippines higher in the qualifiers. We'll see if that transitions well into the bracket stage here, and whether we get a team to win their own pick or whether we continue the breakpoint train.
I think the difference going from like AR 7.5 in the qualifiers hidden 2 to this one, for a lot of players, can make a big difference in terms of comfort. We saw in the last match, Taiwan struggled on the one in qualifiers, but did far better on this one. We'll see if that works out for Malaysia. I think they have the chops to do alright on this, but Philippines have some strong hidden specialists. They're all in. Ramu, Nathan Ram. Looking forward to seeing how they do on this. Early miss there from Wuhua, though, who is their star player on hidden with the early miss.
It is matched by Icarus, so not going to be too big a deal here early on. Accuracy lead a little bit in favor of Philippines. Milkteism breaks on that pattern that I was talking about. Ramu breaks right afterwards, so now 3 full combos down for Philippines. It's just Nathan Ram left standing once again. Hot Dog, Breast, and Zeph all still holding on to either a full combo or, in Zeph's case, a reverse choke. Did break at the very, very start of the map, about 10 combo in or so. But it's a 50k score lead for Malaysia. Looking solid so far. Only a quarter of the map in, though. So still quite a ways to go. Quite a lot of places to break. Quite a lot of combo to hold for either of team. So with only 100,000 score lead for Malaysia here, it's nothing set in stone quite yet, but it does look good for the team dressed in blue.
There's some proper combo gaming going on the side of some of the players on the Philippines. I guess when you drop one of those streams, though, you can drop so much ack if you miscue them. There's a break there from Zeph. It is 2 FCs to 1, but the recoveries are going to bring Philippines right back into it now. Dead even.
And nobody else breaking on the same spot, so score lead is indeed going back the way of Philippines, as you said, Dooms. Just very slowly. It is still going their way, but quite slow at this point. Eventually, though, if we see any more breaks, and there's one from a Hot Dog, that is going to be massive now. Malaysia with a very tenuous lead. Only Breast and Wuhua left standing with either the full combo or... Oh, and there goes Breast as well. That FC is down. It's just Nathan Ram with the only FC left in the lobby. Icarus, Milkteism, Ramu all matching the combo from Wuhua here, and that score lead is going to evaporate back in the way of the Philippines now. And this is why you say nothing set in stone when you have an early lead for either team, because truly nothing is really set in stone quite yet. Don't carve out their names on the winners panel, because there's still quite a lot of time left in the map. There's still a quarter of the way to go as well for Philippines. Nathan Ram and Icarus both miss. Breast and Zeph do match, but Wuhua is still holding combo. If Milkteism and Ramu break here, this is still maybe enough to swing it back, but the score lead is getting close to the realm of uncatchable for Malaysia. The longer this goes, the higher the score lead gets, the easier it is for any break to not matter. And Milkteism and Ramu looking very, very good here near the end of the map. And at this point, I think the door is shut on Malaysia's chances of winning this map. Ramu and Milkteism able to combo long enough into the ending to secure the point.
It's going to be Wuhua with the reverse choke, it looks like, and a miss at the end. Top score for his team once again. Not quite the upset on that one. It was looking kind of dicey, but Philippines just finding that bit of consistency. Malaysia, I think after the break, choking a little bit, to be honest, and that's unfortunate. But in the end, great comeback there from Philippines, and finally, someone wins their own pick. It's the Philippines.
This is how a lot of these kind of... You usually divide seeds into the top seeds, right? Seeds 1 through 8. The bottom seeds, seeds 25 through 32. And then you have the high seeds and low seeds, right? 9 to 16 and 17 to 24. And this is a lot of times how those high versus low seed matches go. Even at the very top versus the very bottom of high versus low, right? Is a lot of times you'll get very competitive starts to a match, but the lower seeded team maybe starts to run out of picks, maybe starts to run out of gas a little bit later on. Malaysia, unfortunately, in that boat right now, but they do have the next pick. They did get first pick in this match, which does mean they at least have another chance at keeping the match going, at extending this match and trying to push toward that tiebreaker. The question is, which of the remaining maps are good for them? They're going to say the Nomad 3 is best for them, and honestly, I kind of agree. They were able to win on the Free Mod 3. The Hard Rock one, yeah, maybe you could say, okay, let's pick the Nomad one, the DT one, the Free Mod one, but usually aim maps tend to be a bit of a toss-up. So between those two skill sets, I'm certainly in Malaysia's boat right now. I would pick similarly to how they're picking here with the Nomad 3. This is some alt aim control, flow aim, lots of wiggles, a couple of 1-6 bursts here and there, but nothing too crazy. It's only about 210 BPM. And a lot of slider aim in this map as well. Goes kind of well with the Hard Rock 2 we saw earlier.
It worked out pretty well in that sense for Malaysia in terms of how they played. They looked pretty good on that, and they also looked pretty good on the Free Mod 3 as well. Another low BPM control-based pick. Kind of like this. And, I don't know, I mean, I guess this is a bit more on the technical side compared to maybe something like the Free Mod, which was actually kind of spaced. I think the SR was a bit higher on that one. This is, of course, on pure no mod as well, so none of that mod malarkey going on here. It should be pretty decent on this, and yeah, as you mentioned, it's much more volatile sometimes, things like this. Philippines have looked pretty decent on the control stuff so far, but certainly not a million miles away from how Malaysia have been playing, so it's a good threat here. Yeah. Do quite like it as well, although it's definitely nothing set in stone, of course, the way this match has been going. Good luck calling anything in this matchup right now.
Yeah, it's been a bit tough to predict the winner on each map.
Yeah.
It's been a little tricky. That said, I think, again, with how the match has gone, you might expect Malaysia to win this pick, but I just have this feeling that Philippines can start to really come into their own, right? They've got a couple of players who are playing the World Cup for the first time, a couple of players who are returning after a year off, like Ramu, and this is one of those intangibles that's talked about. OWC nerves. It's just different than any other tournament. You just get way more nervous, and as players start to come into their own in the World Cup, it starts to get a little bit better throughout the matches and throughout the bracket. Every time you start off a match, you're a little more nervous than at the end, and every time you start off the tournament, you're a little bit more nervous as well. So maybe that helps out some of the newer members on the side of the Philippines. Could say the same for Malaysia as well, but a lot of these members returning as well. Lunasa, Chiu, I believe a Hot Dog returning as well. So it's just Breast and Scene, I think, are the new members here on either team. And I don't know. I just have a feeling that it's going to be Philippines on this map. But for the sake of Malaysia, for the sake of a competitive match, you got to root for the team dressed in blue. You got to root for the team on the right side of the screen. This is their pick. We'll see if they can win one of their picks in this match against the Philippines. It's been all breakpoints except for the last Philippines pick. So let's see how this one goes.
A very early miss there on some of those 1-6s from Ramu. Early days though, this map's pretty long. Plenty of time to adjust, and it's more or less the same the whole way through. You do have some high SVs and some slider tech elements as well. Some of them have slider ticks in, but they're not uber crazy to aim at. The accuracy though could make a difference.
Alright, getting into the first KI time here. Everybody's still holding their combos well at the moment. This is one of those maps, though, that takes you by surprise. You almost miss in places that you don't really expect to, just on random slider breaks here and there throughout the pick. A lot of the flow aim, alt wiggle patterns are pretty straightforward for this star rating, but the sliders on top of it can be tough, and that's what's going to catch Chiyu out here. Ramu with a break at the very start of the map means this is going to start to go back the way of Philippines. 3 full combos on either side otherwise. As we get into more of the same here, Chiyu finding another slider break, unfortunately for Malaysia, and that's going to solidify the score lead and the combo lead for Philippines, up about 500-600 combo almost here on the side of Malaysia, with those 3 full combos still going. Now halfway through the map as well. Any breaks at this point are going to start to matter quite a lot for either team. And on a map like this, you do expect those breaks to come through, right? If this were on a more typical stock standard sort of map, you might not expect them, but there's the break. It comes from Breast on the side of Malaysia, and that's another slider break on the blue team. You don't want to see that. Rooting for Malaysia, rooting for a close match, and Philippines now going to start to run away with it.
They finally drop one of their FCs. Scene goes down, but they've still got 3 near FCs. Ramu's early break, but that was early. Still holding 99 as well. Some combo gaming on the side of Ikarusi, but still looking good with his combo. Still plenty of combo on the side of Malaysia, though. They can strike. Still a lot of this map to go. At the moment, Philippines looking pretty good on this styling.
And a good recovery from those who've broken as well. Seen Breast and Shiyu all holding on to some combo after those earlier breaks, but it's just coming down to the FCs at the moment. Hot Dog and Lunasa needing to hold for Malaysia to have a chance in this map. It's still nothing set in stone. It's only 150k, and as we approach the end of the map, that's really where a lot of the score starts to build up. But there goes Breast on the side of Malaysia. It's another break where you don't want to see it if you're rooting for tiebreaker, if you're rooting for a close match. And for Philippines, though, it's a welcome break from the other team as 2.5 full combos continue to hold, as well as that supporting combo for Scene.
Oh, there goes Lunasa on that high SV. Fast slider. Hot Dog still FCing, but Philippines are completely shutting them down, man. This is a really good score from the Philippines. Still, yeah, with 2 and almost 3 FCs. Scene recovering nicely. Nathan Van breaks on the end. That's a good score from the Philippines, man. Completely shut down. Malaysia, great fight and a great tussle here. But they are going to be dropping down to the losers bracket. It's Philippines moving on into the round of 16 winners side. Well earned, though, for sure.
Well-earned victory indeed for the Philippines, and a well-earned couple points from Malaysia. I think a lot of people before this match maybe discounting Malaysia as a team, but they are a team that can show up in the World Cup, especially with the roster additions they've had this year, and I think they were able to show that in this match, right? It's a tough opponent in the Philippines, right? Seed 9 versus 24. You almost always expect Philippines to come out on top in this match. And the question usually is just of how many points the opposing team can get. And 2 points for the lower seeded team in this sort of matchup is very well done to Malaysia, but even better done to the Philippines. They're able to take the match, they're able to take the victory, and they're able to take their rightful spot in the round of 16 winners bracket.
I think on both sides, there's so many players that had their moment to show up, topping the leaderboard, being the player to push their team through on both sides. So many names, no major standouts of like 1 or 2 people carrying. I suppose in the round of 32, that's what it comes down to. You need to have that team performance. But both teams have plenty of players that can take their moment and say, yeah, that was a good run. So you love to see that. I'm sure Malaysia can take the heart from that into their next matchup, which is actually already decided because, fortunately, the way the brackets worked out, the 2 games we've played are actually the ones that decide the next round. So we know that Philippines are taking on Hong Kong next, whereas Malaysia will be taking on Taiwan next week in the losers bracket.
Those will both be awesome matchups. I'm looking forward to seeing both of those in the round of 16. It's always really cool to see a lot of these middle seed matchups between both the winners and losers brackets. So very much looking forward to that. That said, we're at about the end of our rope here. It's just about time for the next matchup. Coming up here on the mainstream, we have another solid middle seed matchup. Norway versus Thailand, seed 12 versus 21 out of qualifiers, coming right up on OS Live. And on OS Live 2, we have another very, very good matchup. It's China versus Japan on the B stream, seed 13 versus 20. So no matter where you are, no matter where you're watching, you're going to be rewarded with a very, very solid match. So stick around. We'll be right back here on the main channel with Norway versus Thailand. I've been Dio. He's been Doomsday. Thank you all very much for watching. Congratulations once again to the Philippines. Good luck to Malaysia in the losers bracket, and we'll see you back here very shortly.